In a society so consumed by technology, it can be hard to find some peace. But disconnecting with your screen to connect with your surroundings is easy when you step onto the campgrounds at Detach Primitive.
It's just constant. You know, you've got your TV, you've got your computers, you've got your phones, you've got your iPads. I mean, it is just taking everything away from being present, being in the moment like we are right now. I mean, these aren't things they're becoming less and less common, in my opinion.
It's all in the name. Detach takes you off the grid and into a one-of-a-kind experience.
Yeah, the whole idea that we have at Detach is people come and they're able to get away from what they do every day. Namely, that's detached from screens and detached from everything where you're connected and hyper-connected.
Yeah, good thing we have 5 cameras set up. It's really easy to detach from technology right now.
Make exceptions, just this one time.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen and Jared Spear, 2 of the founding partners here at Detach, and brothers.
As a twin with a younger sister, I got to know what it's like to be in business with your brother. Pros and cons.
Pros and cons. The pros is that we know how each other thinks, right? So we know how to approach each other. We also know how to engage. We also know how maybe to get our way on some things, right? And that might be a con.
For the younger brother.
Well, it depends. I mean, he's bigger than me now, so, you know.
We know how to push each other's buttons. We grew up together.
That's definitely a con.
Yeah, and within 10 seconds, we can get that reaction out of each other because we know how to do that. And sometimes that happens, but most of the time we're able to work through that and say, hey, here's what's going on, here's what I'm feeling. And also, hey, I'm in my lane of what I'm responsible for in this business, so here's what we're going to do.
That sibling support sparking this innovative flame. The Spears love camping, and they wanted others to share that sentiment. And when the pandemic hit, their idea took off.
We understood that people were spending a lot of time inside, and we've always enjoyed spending time outside, and this is something we want to curate and build some place where when the pandemic was over, that we knew people would want to get out and experience nature, or they should experience nature for that healing process, right?
And that process starts the second you walk onto this 50-acre property.
This is one of the first things that you'll experience when you come here, which is grab all your stuff from your car, load it up into your cart, and take a look at where you're going. So we've got a total of 10 sites. We're on about 50 acres here, and you can see, you know, we've got between the Hobbit homes, A-frames in the north, we've got teepees, and we also have a yurt, and we have one bring your own tent campsite.
The Detach team went through months of planning, mapping out the blueprints by putting themselves in the shoes of their future guests.
We spent a lot of time going through each area of this property and saying, if we put this structure here, can you see another structure? Will you engage with anybody else? And really try to give people the opportunity to not only detach, but have their own space.
And while that whole idea might take some getting used to, they say everyone has bought in.
My favorite part of this whole season has been sharing this experience with folks and getting feedback from them and watching their eyes change as they walk through the forest, or seeing kind of the glow on their face as they leave at the end of their stay.
Each site is special, but none more creative and complex than the fantasy film-inspired Hobbit home.
Are y'all big Hobbit fans? Is that why you wanted to build something like this and include that as a part of the full vision?
Are you a big Hobbit?
Yeah,
Hobbit fan? Yeah.
I think out of everyone in the group, I'm definitely the
Yes.
Tolkien fan.
Yes.
I grew up reading Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and we were calling this, while we were designing it, the Smile, because that's what Tolkien calls the underground homes in Hobbiton. The first guests who actually came and stayed out here are huge Tolkien fans, and so when they saw this, they had been emailing us, hey, is it ready to go? Is it ready to go? When we actually opened this up for guests, they were the first guests, and they left a really beautiful note, and they're going to be coming out on a regular basis.
Yeah, and she talked about how she was going through a really hard time in life when she was a teenager, and how Tolkien really helped her to get through that. And she came here, and she's like, it was just so refreshing. It really made me feel back at that point where I healed from that experience. This is one of the best things we've done, is putting these journals in each one of these structures. You would be blown away by the stories. There's a guy that's got some like fictional tales. He's like, people are coming after him, and he saw the guy, but he hid from him, and they're dragging goats through the woods, and this guy went off, and we're like, this guy's
He's writing a whole
crazy,
book in there.
but we love it.
Well, and
Right?
that's what he came out here to do, was have a spark of creativity, to be able to intentionally come out get his creative juices flowing, and he was working on a book, on a novel. And so this was his way of coming out and working on that novel and having that creative spark, was disconnecting, spending time in the forest, and being intentional about what he's thinking and the ideas coming through his head.
Sounds like it worked.
So far, so good. We'll read his novel when it comes out and see if there's any influence there.
So whether you're inside a structure or just walking around the property,
I remember coming out here and looking up for the first time and just being like, wow, this is really unique and special.
this world in the woods will feel like a fresh reality, forcing you to get off your touchscreen and instead get in touch with nature. And that is the difference when you detach.